everyone. It is me, Carrie Rose O'Connell, here for episode 6 of the Storytellers series by New Mexico Women in Film. And today I am grateful to be joined by Sarah Mease, one of our members, and the writer of a short film project we're going to talk about today called The Holy Word. So Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today. It's great to be with you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So before we talk about your project, The Holy Word, I just want to have our audience get to know you a little bit. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and then kind of what put you on the path for film as a career?
So I attended Santa Fe University of Art and Design. It closed when I was a freshman in 2017, and I ended up moving to Chicago to Columbia College, Chicago, to finish my degree. And then to finish off that, I attended their semester in Los Angeles program, and I studied screenwriting and editing for film and television.
Nice. And so when you started moving towards the arts for your long-term vision, was film a pretty immediate choice for you in the arts world?
It actually wasn't. When I was in middle school and high school, I was heavily involved in theater. I did a lot of acting, and I was a little nervous about not being able to make a career out of it. So I decided to turn more towards film, and my dad really wanted me to go to business school, but I didn't want to. So we were able to find a happy medium because there's quite a bit of business in the film industry. So
Yeah. Nice. So he saw that there is advantages to working in the industry in the end. That's great. So today we're going to talk a little bit about a short film project that you wrote called The Holy Word. And before we talk about the project, I just want to read a little bit of the description I got off of your Indiegogo page for it. A funny short film about a girl who just wants to read her darn erotic novel in the same class she prays to God in, which was totally grabbing. I was intrigued from the moment I read that first sentence. So tell us a little bit about writing The Holy Word, where the story came from for you, and what made you decide to put it into a short film.
So this is based off my life. I went to private Catholic school in Dallas, Texas, where I grew up from kindergarten to my senior year of high school. And I could write 100 short films about private Catholic school. There's quite a bit of content and drama that goes along with that. But we had to go to an all-school mass once a month, and I used to skip it and read books in the bathroom. And so that's where this idea came from. I started writing it the first semester I moved to Chicago.
Hmm.
It was just a simple homework assignment that ended up being something I'm quite proud of. And my friend Violet uh, told me about this contest, New Mexico Girls Make Movies contest, screenwriting contest. And she told me to enter it. And so I worked on it for a little bit, and I submitted it, and I ended up winning first place overall. And that's how I met Lisa Lucas, and how this project went just from the page to the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask you about the that winning that particular screenplay competition for New Mexico Girls Make Movies. So I assumed that was you were going to affirm that it did help really move this project to a different level for you, involve or getting that selection.
Absolutely. The contest helped in more ways than I could have ever imagined, because at the ceremony, I got to talk a little bit, and I was able to recruit most of the runner-ups from the contest, and they did a live reading at the ceremony, and I was able to have a couple of the women who were part of that actually be in the film. and it was just a collective from this contest. And Lisa Lucas is so amazing. She I felt that when she was mentoring me, it was going to go beyond this contest, and I'm very excited for it to come out because it was truly just a feminine collective of hard work.
Yeah, you have 100%. What is it? The notes that you have 100% of the crew and 90% in front of camera are female. That's quite an accomplishment.
So sadly, we weren't able to get 100% women behind the camera, but the optimism of this is that we were able to get on a director of photography. His name is Giannis.
Mhm.
That is so incredibly just talented beyond belief, and he got to bring on some. It's although I wasn't able to get 100%
Yeah,
women, it means the world to bring on men that believe in that same feminine initiative on
right.
and behind the camera, which is I think that it would be Giannis or nothing. Um,
Yeah.
and it really turned out just better than I could have hoped for.
Absolutely. And I think even just as a filmmaker, starting with that intention for your productions, even if you can't hit maybe the full 100% mark, just starting with that intention, you're going to exceed whatever the average is going on in the industry, because you really have that as the forefront. Was that important for you as a young filmmaker, the bring lifting women up and giving them the equality that they need in film? Was that something that you always knew was going to be part of how you operated and worked?
Absolutely. After not putting college level film sets on the same level as professional film sets, but I've been on enough college film sets, and it's mostly, my classes were about maybe 3 to 10 ratio of women to men, and that's how the sets were as well. So I just remember there being a lot of yelling, and I studied screenwriting and editing because I don't like being on set for that particular reason.
Mm,
Um, and so I wanted to do a little experiment and see how just women work together. And I can't, like, after this experience, I would really wish and hope that I can have every set with 100% women if possible, because it was just the most level headed, calming, and encouraging set I've ever been on. But I haven't been on a lot of sets. But it was so ideal and so perfect, and everybody communicated very, very well. And everybody was so supportive. And I think the
yeah,
coolest part of it too was we were able to use the kiddos from New Mexico School for the Arts because it takes place
very
in high
cool.
school.
Yeah, yeah,
And we got to listen to their dreams and their aspirations, and how, not only for me is this going to be my first truly like film out of college, but this is going to be my first IMDb credit. This is going to be all these kids' first IMDb credit, and
right.
something that they can be proud of, and something I'm already extremely proud of. So, but yeah, no, women on and behind the camera as much as possible. It just proves something, and I think what it proves is the harmony of business and chaos and art, and how they can all come together, and how you don't have to yell all the time, and you don't have to get overworked or overheated, and it truly was flawless, and I could not have done it without Lisa Lucas and Sarah Gardner, that were the heart and backbones of this short film.
And actually, and Lisa and Sarah just scheduled their storytellers interview. So keep an
Well,
eye
very
out,
nice.
everyone. They are going to be talking about not only their work with Sarah on this project, but a couple of other projects they've been working on. So there'll be
Very
a
nice.
couple of episodes we'll have them with us. I was
Nice.
gonna ask you, were you able to get your production in before a lot of the shutdown due to the COVID-19 issues right now?
We were very, very lucky because our original shoot date was for Martin Luther King Jr. weekend,
Right.
but then we had to push it back to the first weekend in February, and we kept, you know, we really weren't sure when we were going to shoot because things kept coming up, and we were thinking, oh well, let's just wait till May, or let's just wait till whatever. But I don't. We ended up shooting it in February, and we got all the shooting done, and then COVID happened, and I am so thankful every day that we got to actually
Yeah.
shoot everything because that's not the biggest possibility right now. So
Yeah. And luckily post is something you can do with social distancing. So
exactly.
yeah, so you're in post production editing right now, I assume, with it?
Yes, Sarah Gardner is working on it. I'm not quite sure when it will be done. We're still working on getting a little bit more money for color and sound. We have a couple grants we're waiting on, so hopefully we'll get a little bit further this year. It might wait until next year, but honestly, it feels like everything's on pause in terms
Yeah.
of festivals. And I as much as I would like to submit to festivals this year, I'd really like to wait and submit till next year and physically be able to go to the
I
festivals.
was gonna say, when I kind of was looking at the project information you sent me, you've really had great kind of support and success to get you to the stage you're at. You ran a successful Indiegogo campaign, which in itself is a feat. Looks like you guys raised a little over $7,500 from your campaign. You were a 2019 recipient of a New Mexico Women in Film Production Scholarship that helped towards that budget, and obviously having partners like Lisa Lucas and the New Mexico Girls Make Movies, collective, that's all been, I'm sure, something that you're tremendously grateful for. And I know that there's a tendency for us to feel lucky, but there's also a lot of things that you, I'm sure, did to put yourself in a good position to make a lot of that happen. So, as a young filmmaker, I'm hoping maybe you can just share a few things that you've learned going through this experience as far as you have, with other young filmmakers so that they know that even something like, because to a lot of young filmmakers, a budget of $7,500 probably feels like, how am I going to possibly pull that together?
Mhm.
So, what would you encourage or give them as far as some tips, from what you've learned so far on your journey?
I think the most important thing that I've learned on this journey is to never assume that you're only wearing one hat.
Mm,
Um, I thought that I was just the writer and that was it, and you know, end of story. But I worked with Lisa a lot to raise money and work on the Indiegogo, and so I feel like I had a tiny little producer hat on too. And I was on set, and writers mostly aren't on set, but I did little things like snacks and watch the kids when they weren't on set. So
nice.
it just small things like that, or I ran an errand to Kinko's on set because they needed some posters. It just it's a lot of work, and it's a team collective. Um, this industry and film in general is not for soloists or people that don't want to work with other people. I
Right.
think you definitely need to networking is extremely important. Um,
Yeah.
is definitely what I learned, and how people can really just come in handy. And um, just something that Lisa taught me that I'm really happy that she did was, coming out of college, you're not taught in school to pay everybody that you have working for you. A lot of the times when you're in
Yeah.
college, you see postings that say, "Oh, I can feed you, I'll get you an IMDb credit, but that's about it." And
Right.
I didn't want to, Lisa guided me to not go into this industry as an amateur. So, we were able to pay everybody, and that was, people are doing really good work. And we even had some people come on last minute that just volunteered that love what they do and they haven't been involved in a hot second, and donated their time. And I had a friend that donated her time, and she was behind the scenes photography, and just take care of the people that take care of you is a
Yeah.
big one that I've learned, on top of wearing some different hats. Um, Also, don't forget to thank your teachers.
Very
I
cool.
have so many teachers that, I send them an email and I'm like, and I tell them, oh, remember that script I wrote in your class? Well, I actually won a contest for it. And then, I think that just fulfills them as teachers.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, just don't forget to be thankful. And you know sometimes it can get so crazy, and things are happening, and they're just happening, and you don't know how they're happening, and then it's all done, and it's just because good people want to help you see.
Sure.
Good people want to see you succeed as much as you want to see yourself succeed.
Very cool. Thank you. So, and you brought up a little bit about this, but many times writers are, once it's turned over and it's going to be produced into something, the writer kind of steps out of the framework of that whole process. But this has really been much more about kind of your coming out as a young filmmaker. And so it's a bit more than you just being the writer of this. You really are the creator of this whole project, and it seems like you've been, like you said, you've been even babysitting kids on set, so you've been a real integral part of it. And so I'm wondering, where do you see your overall focus as a filmmaker now that you've had this experience? You started studying screenplay writing and editing. You've had this fuller experience of even wearing a producer's hat, and fundraising is incredibly challenging. So that you do
Mhm.
it well in those realms, you really start to understand all the hats in play. So did it change for you where you see the arc of your career going as a filmmaker, or has it inspired you to say, I want to get more into editing now?
Um, So I feel like with independent film, you can't go into it pigeonholing yourself. I think you have to be open to being diverse, and that was the holy word was definitely my first toe dip in the water of that. I will say that I studied screenwriting and editing in school, and I just actually finished a script a month ago with a friend, a pilot script for a television series that I'm developing.
Very cool.
Um, and after the holy word, it's very encouraging to see other people take your script and run with it. And because being a screenwriter sometimes is a little, there's a million screenwriters and there's probably like 100,000 editors. So, there's definitely more jobs as an editor. But when you are so encouraged by others
Yeah.
to work on your story and put it into fruition, it only, you know, encourages you more. So it's only encouraged me more to write, which I have been. I am a little rusty with editing just because I don't have the software at the moment, Avid, but that is definitely something that I might take a break on writing and then go into editing and just,
Yeah.
put some oil. Yeah. But yeah, I don't I would really like to write. I really enjoy it. I've just spent so much time studying it in school, and I've had some really really tough teachers, but for good reasons.
Yeah.
And read all the books like Hero with a Thousand Faces, Joseph Campbell,
Yeah.
and a bunch of other books. And I feel that I know three act structure pretty well. And I had an amazing internship when I was in Los Angeles. I worked for Bellevue Productions amazing people that work there, and I did script coverage, and on occasion I did some script notes for some of the clients that they had.
Nice.
And once you get to, you always hear writers say, read every day, and that's and the absolute truth. You have to read every day, and it will grow your understanding of structure, and it will grow your understanding of,
Mm.
the hero's journey and whatnot. So I think I've got writing down pretty well. But like I said, I'd like to definitely uh, practice more in the editing realm because
Yeah.
I think overall, I would like to be an editor, but I think that on the side, I could definitely still write.
Sure, absolutely. I think, like you said, film is luckily one of those things where you don't really have to do any one thing all the time, which is great. You can
Exactly.
get a little experience in a lot of different areas. It's actually an industry where sometimes it's a kind of a negative, but in this industry, being a jack of all trades isn't necessarily a bad thing. It leaves you open for even just a lot of work opportunities, which is an independent you got to hustle for. So I think that's
Absolutely.
fantastic. Have you wanted to help Sarah at all with the editing on the Holy Word, or has it been easy for you to let that go completely?
So it would be cool to shadow her, but also on a very, very smaller scale of um, what I'm talking about. So I've definitely in college have edited projects, and I've had somebody standing over me, and I hate it. I hate it so much because I'm very interesting because I'm such an extrovert. I can go out and fundraise and I can do whatever, but when it comes to editing, I get my favorite pillow, I get my favorite snack, I lock the door, and I'm in there for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Um, but it it almost might even be cooler to, if she's able to just record her screen and I can watch it from home or something. Because I really, really don't want to bother her. Just because I think that every artist has their safe space, and you create a certain way when you're in a certain space. And so maybe when how about this? Maybe when the final cut is done, I can watch it with her and just listen to her about her workflow. Oh, well, we tried to do this, but this didn't cut very well, but we had this one shot, B-roll, that we could put in here, like maybe hearing more of like a cliff notes at the very end of, her
Yeah.
trial and error rather than sitting there with her and making her nervous or anything like that.
Yeah. Maybe after you're done with the full product, she'll let you, she can have you collaborate on the trailer.
Exactly, that'd be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Who was the director on the project for you?
It was actually Sarah as well,
Oh, great.
directing and editing. Yeah, which is really cool. I actually really, really appreciate that because I mean, I don't know this, but I'd like to safely assume that a lot of directors don't direct with the editor in mind and the way that things cut. Um, not as technically as an editor slash director would. So I know that when Sarah was directing, she had in her head like this little avid timeline, and she was able to kind of see what this might look like beforehand. So I
Yeah.
had full faith in her and her abilities.
That's fantastic. Great. Yeah, you worked with some awesome people on this project. So you're still doing a little bit in post. Just maybe real quickly again, let people know kind of what you would most need, what kind of support would help best for you to get it to where you're complete and ready to submit to those festivals next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we really need some money for post production, and we need money for coloring and sound, and those two things are very make or break for a good short film or a good film or TV show in general.
Yeah.
So we would rather. have this be a 3-year thing than push it out in a year and not have the quality that we expect on it.
Sure.
So that's why we're taking our time to get the money we need to finish it. So we currently don't have an Indiegogo for post production,
Right.
but that might be something I should talk to Lisa about
Yeah.
because I think it would be very helpful. I haven't heard back from any grants yet, so in the meantime, that might be a good idea to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You did really well on your first one. So I think your
Mhm.
supporters would love to know that you got it completed and you just need a little extra to help make it look the way that it really deserves to look. And I bet
Absolutely.
you would be able to do a great follow-up campaign. And then we'll include Sarah, we'll make sure we put like an email address or something in our show notes. So, hey, man, if there's a nice investor out there that also just wants to put some money towards this or something like that, they
Right,
can also reach out. Yeah,
exactly. Very nice.
fantastic. So, anything else you would like to share with our audience before we go about your work, your time at New Mexico Women in Film, or in New Mexico film in general, um, that kind of encourages everybody out here to kind of hold the stay while we wait for things to return back to production and back to work and back to full creativity.
I think that right now, being a part of New Mexico production is more important than ever because LA is and New York are definitely not going to be the way that they were. And I think we have such a huge advantage of living in New Mexico. And I know it's an industry, but I really see it specifically here more as a community, the way that people interact with each other and network with each other and help each other. And I think that that's one of the biggest advantages we have of being in this industry and being in New Mexico. And I think it's really important to, share their posts and watch programs like this and just be a part of the conversation as much as possible because I truly think that out of COVID, we will be thriving the most of anybody. Um, and I think that just being a part of it is extremely important right now. So, and it's, like I said earlier, it's help the people that help you. And the reason I'm having this talk is because of earning this grant for the short film. And so I think that it's just a nice cycle of not so much karma, but just, help me help you.
Yeah.
And I think that can go a very long way.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. New Mexico really is a community of collaboration and creativity. And, it is just a great place to live and work and create in. So that was beautifully said, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me today for this episode of the Storytellers. I really
Thank you.
appreciate having you. And let me know when you have your post done and maybe a trailer ready, or when you have any other projects coming up that you'd like to talk about, and we'd love to have you back with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
and thank you to everyone for watching today. Make sure you subscribe here on YouTube, as well as hit that little notification bell so you're alerted when new episodes drop. Remember to follow New Mexico Women in Film on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all your favorite social profiles, to learn more about Sarah's projects, as well as future attendees of our episodes that are going to be upcoming in the next few months.